Well, ABC Chair Kim Williams has outlined his vision for a dramatic renewal of the national broadcaster. Oh, and he wants more money on top of the $1.1 billion of our money it already gets each year. Now, he says he wants the public broadcaster to become a sort of reimagined national campfire, a place where we all come together to share our ideas, dreams, friendship and our sense of common purpose to enable our country to face much of the darkness beyond with confidence and strength. How's that for a quote? Joining me now is Sky News host James Macpherson and Hobart City Councillor Louise Elliott. Hi to you both. Thank you so much for joining us. James, it's a bit kumbaya almost around a campfire. It's very sweet.
I'm feeling so inspired hearing you say that. Of course, the ABC is not a campfire, it's a dumpster fire. That's a big difference. But I mean, they already get $1.1 billion and now they want more money. The truth is, Danica, they could get $10 billion a year, but as long as on the hour they remind us that their Sydney broadcast is coming from Gadigal country, it doesn't matter how much money you give them, they'll keep losing audience. Not because we don't love and respect Indigenous people, but we're just sick of the division. And you know what? You don't need more money to unite people. Objectivity doesn't cost you any more money. They can do all those things on their current budget. But I tell you who will be excited about this is Peter Dutton, because he's just been reminded when he's looking for money to fund nuclear reactors, oh, there's a lazy $1.1 billion in the ABC at the moment. We could very easily remove that and our country would lose nothing.
Absolutely spot on. And you're right, it's about the content that's being produced on the ABC. So, Louise, you know, the ABC, our boss, he wants a campfire and more money. It's quite a combination, I'd say.
Yes, just like James, there's no way on earth I'd be comfortable with topping up the ABC coffers. I mean, the chair, Kim Williams, has spoken about the importance of the ABC having its relevancy, and relevancy, fundamental to that, is impartiality and professionalism. And that doesn't cost anything. We're not seeing that for the $1.1 billion we're currently investing, so there's no way I'll be keen to pay more and see more of the same. And there is absolutely an issue here that needs to be addressing. We're seeing it at the federal level and also hyper-local down into my local ABC radio. He's unfortunately renowned for bias, and if they don't want to cover a certain topic, they'll just pretend that view doesn't exist and there's silence on it. So like I said, it really comes down to if you work for the ABC and you can't bring the impartiality that taxpayer money requires, then you really need to get your own opinion show. And for the chair, consequences for people that are unable to provide the truth and the objectivity and that impartiality, consequences and accountability cost nothing.
Spot on, absolutely. Now, Victoria Police is still investigating a spate of anti-Semitic attacks on electorate offices throughout Melbourne. Of course, the most recent, the targeting of Jewish MP Josh Burns' office. And this is what we got from the Prime Minister today, who took to X, formerly known as Twitter, to say, I condemn the attack on the electorate office of Josh Burns. Those responsible should face the full force of the law. This is a serious attack. The targeting of a Jewish MP is very distressing. James, I note in that there's no mention at all of anti-Semitism. There's no condemnation for calling it out for what it is. Yeah,
and Anthony Albanese and Adam Bandt are on a unity ticket here, because Adam Bandt similarly put out a tweet today condemning the quote-unquote incident. Oh, it's just an incident. One of our federal MPs has his office effectively firebombed, and it's an incident. There's been 12 federal and state electorate offices now vandalised by pro-Palestinian supporters, and the Prime Minister offers nothing but commentary, which he seems to think is his role. Well, he's actually the leader of the country, and so we need a little less commentary from Anthony Albanese and a little more leadership. Why has this not been deemed a terrorist attack? And I think it was our colleague Steve Price who said it first. This is clearly designed, and this isn't just some vandalism on a wall. They set his office on fire. So this is a massive escalation. It's a federal MP. It's a Jewish federal MP. It's a Jewish federal MP who's been quite outspoken on behalf of Israel. So this is clearly an attempt to intimidate Josh Burns into shutting up. This is terrorism. It's got terrorism written all over it. It should not be handled by local Victorian police, as if local Victorian police have been able to handle anything for the last 3 or 4 years. No. This should be referred to federal police, and whoever the culprits are should be tracked down and treated like terrorists. What's the alternative? That we're left to provide our own security? I was thinking about that statement and I thought, well, actually, that's exactly what the Jewish community have to do. You go past any Jewish school, any Jewish synagogue, they've got their own security out front, and now we know why, because the government, the police, they can't be relied upon to do anything.
They've got no help. They're left to fend for themselves, basically. And, Louise, we are seeing more and more of these attacks. Why are leaders like Albanese just so weak? It's like they're scared to say the word anti-Semitism.
Yes, it's really troubling. It's terrible. And talk about too little too late from the Prime Minister. I mean, this is what happens when people are left with space to do this sort of thing. You see they're emboldened. You see the actions growing bigger and bigger and grander and escalating. And this has all come about absolutely due to the lack of leadership. As James said, I mean, when there isn't condemnation, strong, clear message that is wrong, we don't do this, that's not Australian values at all, and actions and consequences, then the momentum grows and people become even more and more brazen in their actions. So I do feel for the Victorian police in this situation, because I guess their role isn't to lead the country. They need to investigate the crimes. But this is where the Prime Minister needs to step up. And I truly do think that the escalating behaviour here squarely sits on the Prime Minister's shoulders.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Now, Vice President Kamala Harris has received backlash after she welcomed founders and cast members of the show Queer Eye to the White House. Now, one of them is Jonathan Van Ness, that's his name. He stepped up to the podium during a visit and he hosted his own mock press briefing.
Welcome today, everyone, to the White House. I'd like to briefly answer some questions. Go ahead, I'm ready.
JVN.
Oh, yes.
Is it true that is all your natural hair?
Yes, I can confirm that this is not a wig.
James, good to see. It's been a very busy day at the White House. Kamala Harris and co, they're getting down to business.
I'm just jealous of his hair, Danica. But
of course.
It's an interesting juxtaposition we have at the moment. In the White House, we've got the Vice President celebrating a TV show that promoted homosexuality and that mocked and ridiculed heterosexual men as being clueless and hopeless. Meanwhile, you've got Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un meeting in North Korea, and I can guarantee you they're not talking about Queer Eye for the straight guy.
No, they're certainly not. We're running out of time, but Louise, I just want to quickly ask you, you've had a win this week. Your own Hobart City Council has issued you with an apology. It conceded that you were discriminated against after it blocked you from booking a venue over your views on transgender policies.
Yes, that's right. It's been a long time coming, but finally I've got the council to admit the lying and scheming and gaslighting that went into blocking me from being able to, in my personal capacity, hold a women's rights and free speech event. So in 2024, women's rights and free speech is something that the Hobart City Council is afraid of and goes to great lengths to avoid. But I'm hoping that exposing and what's happened here will see some serious culture change, because it has to. What happened was highly immoral and illegal.